Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And I'm recording this, you know, a couple hours after I finished doing the Mirai and Rimuru showcases because I have found a pretty fatal flaw with the team as a whole, and I'm really hoping that this new Shizuka Mogami character, who we know is going to be the second banner unit, she'll come out a week from now. Um, we know she's coming, and I really, really, really want her to have a very specific kit because as of right now, the team definitely needs something else. So if we take a look, not just at the character model that she is obviously in game, she has a character model. So and she's also like on the featured like banner images and all that stuff. If we go into Mirai's actual kit, she's up here. What am I doing? So her EX board right here. This is synergy power, and it needs Tsubasa to activate, which is fine because Tsubasa is the blonde free to play unit. But synergy power it only activates when you have synergy rate. Just like Pierce power doesn't activate unless you have Pierce rate, or crit damage doesn't activate unless you have crit rate. So for her to really use synergy power, it means that someone is going to have to give her synergy rate, which so far there's only two protectors that do that, and that is the new Visions of Coleus Lumi, which, not really meant to be run together. She's buffing totally different units. She's a blue stacking team. And then the free-to-play Satoru, who again is a stacking unit. So, not really what I would call made and to fit for each other. So she has synergy power in her EX board. So we have to have someone to give synergy rate, which leads me to the very simple conclusion that Tsubasa, hopefully, will have synergy rate as a battle skill. Now, do I have high expectations about that skill? Probably not, because it's probably going to be limited to the pretty sparkle force, maybe Goddess of Destiny. It'll probably be only for pretty sparkle characters, which is going to make it terribly limited. If we want to be really hopeful about it, it would just be generic. All allies get guaranteed synergy rate for 1, maybe 2 turns. We know that because of the beatdown battle and the rules that apply to it, you are very much sealed from using skills that are above 50 skill points, because it's in Geld's kit right here, where he will seal you. Chance to seal 50 and over cost skills on all targets, including Regard, for 100% for 2 turns. And he does this quite a bit. So there are only very certain times you can use a 55-point skill. Does it mean that Shizuka will be shafted out of that? No, because there are turns where you can use a 50-point skill. So very easily could be like all allies synergy rate and some other side effect that would make it worth a 55-point skill. And then you have to pick what exact time and moment you want to use that. But alongside that skill, the other problem I've ran into, and it may just be a me problem, but if I'm running this specific team, which is what I did the showcase on, right? We've got Milim, we've got Rain, who is probably going to be the most replaced unit when Shizuka comes out. But we've got Rain and the green buff, which means that we get a lot of gauge from the green buff. On top of that, Mirai's live skill gives greens an additional 50% alt gauge increase. So we are just overflowing with alt gauge on this team, and it's really hard to manage this, especially if you're trying to make use of the live mode and full sending hands of greens, because you want to send 6 greens. You want that guaranteed 12% extra increase for your attack every single turn. And the way this team is right now, with just the first 2 banner units in the free-to-play, so the meta is by no means finished, it's really difficult, almost impossible to get that, because the units have to be up front for that attack buff to take effect. So it doesn't really help if we have to swap Mirai out because she's got an alt and I don't want an alt. So like right here, we're going to do this buff, we'll do the live buff, and we'll do the future hand of greens. And if we take a look, after we use Rimuru here to get that extra 12% stack, there's a lot of alt gauge. There's a lot of gauge coming off of these. So skill point gain, cool. Normal gauge increase, that's from Rain, 50%. So that's 50% extra skill point, extra protection gauge, extra alt gauge. Increases your secret skill gauge increase by 50%. So that's 100% extra alt gauge on greens. So when we do this, we are going to be overflowing. And now, we got lucky. We do have an EX alt. But, if we get an EX alt for when Shizuka comes out, and she may end up being like the true DPS Earth unit of this meta, sure, we can send it, but now we've got 3 alts, and I don't want to send 3 alts. I want to send 6 greens over and over and over again, because this is only going to get us 8% attack buff if we were to use this skill again. And I want 12% across the board. So, alongside the supposed synergy rate for the team, whether it be generic or specific, I really, really hope that Shizuka has, at minimum, a double alt swap to green. Because we got Blanc, right? We got Blanc with a triple alt swap, and it's only 25 points, right? The single alt swaps have been either 15 points on a blue team or 0 to start out with on a green team, because the Hero 2.0 has an alt swap to green, and that's 0. Could very easily see a double alt swap on greens, especially on I wouldn't say this a burst team, but a team that has a limited skill cap, being 15 points for a double alt swap. I don't think that's too much to ask for, because you can at least play around with it. So I'm really, really hoping that we can, because if I want to do this, I want to send a full hand of green, but I can't send a full hand of green, so let's do this, and then we'll get both of you out of here. And yes, this hand, technically, if I had the live mode active, would be another 12%. But it's not 12% for these 2 units, which, Mirai's the one I actually wanted on. It's for these 2 units. So now we're missing out, and we have to swap back and forth. And, when we bring them back, I'm still not gonna get a full hand of greens, because she's got an alt. So my prediction for Shizuka will be synergy rate for either generic everybody, which would be great, or specifically to the Pretty Sparkle team, which would be not so great. It would be quite unfortunate, actually, because these units probably aren't going to get used much outside. If she is a generic synergy rate unit, and she has at least a double alt swap ability, I will proclaim her as a very, very, very good unit, and probably tell people to summon for her. Because alt swapping abilities are very coveted. We know how good Blanc is, right? We've seen what she can do on a blue stacking team. All right, we have many green teams, and a lot of them are burst focused, which means you get a lot of alt gauge very quickly. But maybe you're not ready to alt. Maybe you need an extra turn to build up, skill points to, really get the nuke turn going. And we saw how well that worked with the World of Fantasy team with Milim and the Hero 2.0 and her alt swap ability. And it's really nice. So, in order to do that on this team, especially when this is much more stacking long-form team battles, you really will benefit from having that alt swap ability like Blanc does. And, her only being 25 points on a team that is abundant with points means that you could, in theory, make a double swap 15 points, right? Maybe even 10. Why not? I don't think we have a 10-point skill in here. I could be wrong on that, don't quote me. But we definitely have 0-point skills. And I don't think it's going to be a 0 point if you're double swapping. I think they'll make it cost something for that. So that is my prediction. Alongside that, probably she's going to be Earth again because of the Beatdown Battle Inferno 3 mission that says, I want all magic slots, and I want at least 2 Earth characters. And sadly, there are not a lot of good Earth characters, especially not to really run in this stage. You could run, free-to-play Aaron. Sure. You could, You could run Murin, being a defensive-oriented unit and an orb changer. Sure. I wouldn't really run Guy. can't use his skill, like his alt buff, because it's 80 points, and you can only use you're sealed on that for a lot of the time. And his orb changes to blue, which makes no sense on this team. So we need more Earth units, just in general, for one. We need a good Earth unit as number 2, and we need a unit that does these very specific things that I've talked about as number 3. Because without it, I don't think this team will run very efficiently. So those are my thoughts. Those are my predictions. We won't see her banner until another week from yesterday, probably. Maybe Monday night instead of Tuesday night. But I have very distinct hopes for this Shizuka, and I really, really hope they are rewarded. And if she is as good as I want her to be, I really hope I don't get fucking shafted. But alas, I probably will. And alas, she probably won't be as good as we want her to be. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you like that kit idea where her first skill is a synergy rate and her second skill is a double alt swap? Is there something else you would like her to have instead that would benefit this team and make it run a little bit better? Let me know in the comments. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.